Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Can I say how wonderful it is to have you in the chair for this, because you were there in the chair for my maiden speech, and this is my first ever adjournment debate. I also would like to pay tribute to the Honourable Member for Bradford South, who is proudly wearing the ribbon that we're wearing today. I'm grateful for the opportunity to open this debate, to pay tribute to the women and girls of the Matchgirls strike of 1888. Madam Deputy Speaker, I'm proudly the very first Member of Parliament for the new constituency of Stratford and Bow. The boundaries may be new, but it is a part of East London with a rich and radical history that I'm so proud to represent. Also, as the granddaughter of one of Jaffna's first ever trade unionists, I'm proud to be here speaking on this subject. In my maiden speech, I paid tribute to some of the well-known illustrious figures who are residents of Bow, some household names like Gandhi, Attlee and Annie Besant. But today, I want to pay tribute to some lesser-known but equally powerful figures in British history, the Matchgirls, the young women of the Bryant and May Match Factory in Bow. And I'm proud to have residents from Bow here in the gallery today to hear the debate, and also pay tribute to the Chisenhal Esol Bengali ladies who visited me earlier today. The Matchgirls, mostly very young girls, some as young as 6, going up to 13 and beyond, endured long hours, pitiful pay and appalling working conditions. They were fined for being late, for being untidy or even for talking. Worst of all, they were being poisoned slowly and painfully. The white phosphorus used to make the matches made them sicker by the day, giving them a condition called phossy jaw. The girls would dip the matches into sulphur and then into white phosphorus mixture, and this led to a horrible disease causing painful abscesses, facial disfigurement, the loss of the jaw, and in some cases a slow and painful death. When this came to light via work of Annie Besant and in a news article, factory bosses tried to force the girls to lie, but instead they fought back and they took their futures in their own hands. 1,400 of these brave young women walked out on strike in July 1888. And Madam Deputy Speaker, they sent a delegation right here to Parliament. 56 Matchgirls marched from Bow to Parliament, and a group of 12 of these women met with 2 MPs right outside this chamber in Central Lobby. Their courageous act is recorded in Hansard, where Mr Cunningham Graham asked the Home Secretary to investigate this strike and the factory's punitive practice. Madam Deputy Speaker, I'm proud that this week, working with the Matchgirls Memorial team, who are also here in the gallery, and my union, the GMB, we have an exhibition in this very place where the Matchgirls walked to. This strike was exactly 137 years ago this week, and it lit the spark of the new Labour movement and the new trade union movement. It's a spark that ignited the fire of modern trade unionism in Britain. The same movement that is fighting for our rights at work, and a movement I'm very proud to be part of as a member of my union, the GMB. I will.
Speaker, first of all, can I commend the Honourable Lady for Stratford and Bow for bringing this forward, and she's absolutely right to celebrate the strike of 1888. But does the Honourable Lady not agree that the spirit of the Matchgirls in 1880 lives on in our women today? And an example of that in my constituency, and indeed in the Honourable Lady's constituency, is that of the Waspy women, who refused to take the wrong done to them lying down and to fight for the recognition and fair compensation. And that fight that began with the Matchgirls strike in 1888 clearly still lives on in 2025.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. This is my first adjournment debate that I've secured, and I'm delighted to be a recipient of one of the Honourable Gentleman's famous adjournment interventions. I finally made it as a Member of Parliament. I certainly think that the spirit of the Matchgirls remind us that unionism and the collective action has long been in the domain of women, regardless of how male-dominated the union movement may be or the struggle for workers' rights. I will.
I thank my honourable friend for giving way, and would my honourable friend agree that commemorating workers' struggle, particularly women workers' struggle, is key to understanding working class history, our history, and would she agree that the Matchgirls should be commemorated alongside industrial struggles across the country, not least that of the 19 teenage girls in Dudley Port Factory who were killed in the disaster of 1922, the Wednesbury Tube Town strikes of 1913, and the 1910 women chainmakers strike in Cradley Heath, all of which helped form our modern-day trade union movement.
I thank the my honourable friend for Tipton and Wednesbury for that powerful intervention. All of us on these benches have stories of women who have shaped the struggle for the working people's rights in British history, and actually too often they don't get told. So I'm really pleased that today we have a chance to hear those stories. So this strike, as I was saying, Madam Deputy Speaker, was exactly 137 years ago this week. And I'm proud to be here speaking about it. The union movement is still fighting for dignity and fairness at work and standing up for workers' rights against mistreatment and malpractice. We owe so much to these women who came before us, the pioneers of the rights we enjoy today. They stood up against injustice, they took power in their own hands, and they won all the concessions they demanded from greedy factory bosses. These women changed the course of history, and I and many other women wouldn't be here without them. And so I come to the House today in that same spirit to ask the Minister who is here if we will finally formally recognise the Matchgirls' role in British trade union movement and in the advancement of the rights of women and girls in Britain. Madam Deputy Speaker, I mentioned Mr Graham, one of the MPs who met with the Matchgirls in Parliament. Those MPs' names are recorded in Hansard, but the names and voices of the Matchgirls are absent, because it would be decades more before a woman sat on these green benches. Their contribution is too often forgotten in the story of new trade unionism, British labour history, the struggle for rights and dignity at work. This history is too often overlooked. Working class stories left untold, underrepresented in our curriculums and in our history books. And this is a history that belongs to all of us, that when we all have a chance, we have the responsibility to keep telling. I will do.
Thank my honourable friend for giving way. She's making a very strong case for history, and as my parliamentary neighbour, she will know that our part of East London has an incredibly strong labour and industrial history. But does she agree with me? So often that history forgets that much of it involves or is led by strong working class women who not only had to overcome class prejudice, grinding poverty and difficult social conditions, but the sexism of the time, and we must do far more to shine a light on their successes, their achievements, on which we all benefit from now, to make sure it stays in the public memory.
My honourable friend makes a really powerful point, and we are neighbouring MPs in this struggle to get our voices heard here, to make sure that these women are recorded in history. And he's a powerful advocate and an ally in the fight for improved conditions for workers. Indeed, many of those descendants of the Matchgirls still live today in the honourable member for West Ham and Beckton's constituency, and some even work in the Tate and Lyle factory that he's proud to represent. And I'll take this moment to pay tribute to our joint predecessor, Lady Brown of Silvertown, who over a decade ago held a debate about Matchgirls. This history that I'm talking about belongs to all of us, and we do have that responsibility to keep telling it. I'm really sad to say the benches opposite are completely empty this evening. They might try to talk down our trade unions when they are here, but on these benches we are so proud of our industrial heritage. So I asked the Minister whether the government would look at how this history is taught in schools, so that working class stories like those of the East End Matchgirls and so many that we are hearing about today are finally heard, and that their contribution to Britain is finally recognised. I will.
Thank you for giving me. I think this is a really, really important debate, and thank you so much for bringing it forward. I think this played a really, really important part in the whole of the labour history and the struggle for women and their struggles, particularly in Durham, where we had the Durham Women Against Pit Closures who sustained the miners in their strike. They joined the picket lines. They were key figures in their areas, and they're still around today, and we saw them last week at the gala. Would she agree with me that it is so important that past women's struggles are remembered and that they actually do empower women of the future?
I couldn't have said it better myself, Madam Deputy Speaker. My honourable friend makes a powerful point. Durham is so rooted in the fight for workers' rights, and I'm proud that that tradition is still continuing, and she has long been a powerful advocate for working people's rights and union voices in Britain, so I thank her for her intervention. Madam Deputy Speaker, as we honour these women and celebrate how far we've come, we also know that, in the words of another incredibly powerful woman, great is the work yet to be done. particularly for women in today's workforce, who still today disproportionately struggle with low-paid and insecure work. There are 3.9 million working women in the UK who are in severely insecure work. Insecure work which creates a culture of fear and uncertainty, isolates employees, and so often leaves young women struggling financially. Young women are more likely to work in sectors with high job insecurity. They're paid less, work fewer hours, and face last-minute shift changes, all of them putting under greater financial and emotional pressure. Young women are paid less and they're stuck in roles far below their potential. And over time, this chips away at their confidence, their mental health, and any sense of self-worth. And when they don't feel safe to speak up about poor treatment, they start to believe that being treated unfairly is simply just part of the job. What's worse is many young women don't even know their rights at work. I've worked with the Young Women's Trust, who tell me that almost half of the women they surveyed don't know their rights in insecure jobs. And this follows women throughout our lives, from returning to work after pregnancy, where wages stagnate and they're crippled by the cost of childcare. Women are still struggling today, and this must change. It's why I was so proud to sit on the Bill Committee for this Labour Government's Employment Rights Bill. And I'm so pleased the Minister responding in the Chamber today was one who was integral to this Bill Committee. We are delivering the biggest upgrade to workers' rights in a generation, rolling back on Tory attacks on workers' rights to have their voices heard at work, cracking down on fire and rehire practices, banning NDAs that prevent people from speaking up about harassment and discrimination, delivering sick pay for 1.3 million of our lowest earners, enhancing workplace protections for pregnant women and new mothers, and taking on the gender pay gap, all while boosting living standards and workplace protection for millions. Madam Deputy Speaker, 137 years on from the Matchgirls strike, these landmark reforms will deliver rights and dignity for a new generation of women and working people. But we must ensure that young women know their rights and that those rights are enforced. So we must give the Fair Work Agency the power and resources to do its job well, and to ensure that workers most at risk of exploitation and discrimination are supported to access their rights, so that our economy can finally gain from the skills and talents of young women. Madam Deputy Speaker, I've covered a lot of ground and it's been a bit of a history lesson today. The story of the Matchgirls, pride in Britain's working class history, pride in the story of my constituency in Stratford and Bow, and the security and dignity of young women in today's workforce. If members want to learn more, I encourage them to visit the upper waiting hall in the committee corridor, where the Matchgirls Memorial Trust are hosting an exhibition right here in Parliament. I want to thank the brilliant women on my team who have helped me put this together and have been integral to the work that we've been doing to shine a light. And I want to pay tribute to them, Anna Gorell, Neve O'Brien and Samia Ahmed. Excuse me. I also want to thank Barbara Plant of the GMB, who is here in the audience today, and to Penny Robinson from GMB London region, who have been so integral in helping me along my way as a Member of Parliament.
Yeah. I thank my honourable friend for giving way. Does she agree with me that the brave actions of the Matchgirls, like so many women trade unionists and women throughout history, should act as an inspiration to girls and young women in constituencies like mine of Rugby, and that they can be inspired to take action to gain the justice that they need in their lives and in all of our lives?
Absolutely, I agree, and I thank my honourable friend for his intervention, and you make a really important point. Madam Deputy Speaker, I'd like to ensure that the names of the Striking Union Committee are recorded in Hansard, so that their contribution to the fight for workers' rights that we all enjoy today are remembered. Eliza Martin, Mary Knowles, Louisa Beck, Kate Sclater, Julia Gambleton, Ellen Johnson, Jane Wakeling, Mary Driscoll, Jane Staines, Alice Francis, Eliza Price, Mary Cummings, and Sarah Chapman, whose great-granddaughter Sam is here today in the gallery and has done so much to honour the incredible legacy of the Matchgirls. Madam Deputy Speaker, there is a saying: if you want a job done, if you want a job done right, get a woman to do it. Never has this been truer in the fight for women's rights than the Matchgirls, and I pay tribute to these extraordinary women.